Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Welcome to Shine with Andrea. I am your host, the Chief Shine Officer. I hope everybody is doing well this morning. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning, Miss Audrey. Good morning, Miss Shernette. Good morning, Franny. How is everybody doing this morning? So let me just say this, y'all. And maybe I should wait for a few more people to jump on before saying this, but maybe I'll repeat it. Good morning, Miss Tina. Good morning, Miss Jamila. Um, Jamila, I had the weirdest dream last night. I had the weirdest dream. You and your mom hosted this, like, the most. Has anybody ever been to like Macy's for during the Christmas holidays when they have like the store is decked out? Jamila, you and your mom hosted this Christmas party in this place that was almost like a mansion. It wasn't quite a mansion, but it was such an elaborate Christmas party. When I tell you, I mean, everything was just like top tier and beautiful and exquisite and elegant and just sophisticated. It was just so beautiful. And all of the tables were set. There were like so many charcuterie. Did I say it right? Charcuterie boards. And I mean, when I tell you, this place was just decked out. Now, the weird part about it is I was there, Gordon was there, Mike was there, your mom was there, your dad was there, but the boys weren't there. So I was like, wait a second, let me find out I knew Jamila and Mike before the boys. Let me find out I was here before all of that. Or maybe y'all just had them hiding. Maybe they were in the kids' room. Y'all know about the kids' room at the holidays, right? But when I tell you, oh my goodness, it was so beautiful. It was like something out of like a dream. Yeah, exactly. But it was such a beautiful event. It was just really crazy. I don't remember much more than that. Your mom was the hostess with the mostest. She was dressed to the nines, and she was just floating around, and I remember I remember at one point she was offering me something to eat, and I couldn't make my mind up, and you kind of like just pulled me aside. You were like, okay, what would you like? This is what we have, and this is what I was like, that's so indicative of our relationship. It was so funny. It was just, I woke up just chuckling. Like, what was that about? It's not Christmas. Jamila said that's her thing too. Wow. That was something else. That was really something else. It was, when I tell you, it was prettier than anything I've ever seen. And I've seen a lot, especially when it comes to decorating. It was the prettiest, I want to say palace, but it wasn't that big, but yeah, it was impactful. I don't know what that dream was about. Maybe that was me celebrating myself, like, oh, she came together and celebrated me. Maybe that was what it was about. I don't know. Good morning, Miss Anita. Good morning, Miss Samantha. Good morning, Miss Vita. How are you feeling this morning, Miss Vita? Happy that you are here. Happy that you are here. Happy you are. I know you said yesterday you were feeling better. So, and the day before you said you were feeling a little better. So I'm praying and hoping that every day you're just going to keep getting better. Yay. Good morning, Miss Carolyn. Good morning. Good morning, Miss Wandretta. How are you? Did I do the tables? I wish I could say that I did, but I didn't. I was just a guest. It's crazy, right? I was a guest. Good morning, Miss Rochelle. Good morning, Miss Shelley. Good morning, my Michigan mama, my adopted Michigan mama. How are you, sweetheart? She said that's her thing too. That's what she does, huh? Wow. That is really cool. Hey, Nene. Good morning. Come on, Anita. Come on, Anita. Let's go. Yes. And I want to know where the Harrison wing is going to be. Like, are we going to be on the west wing? We're going to be in the right wing. I mean, according to my dream, we live very harmoniously together. So, yes, let's speak it. Let's speak it. Good morning. Good morning, Miss Lardine. I am doing well. Thank you so much for asking. Thank you so much for asking. So, this morning I woke up from that wonderful, illustrious dream, and I went running to to the group page, right? To the Shine with Andrea page, our private page that we have. And I was so excited. And I went to the feature section and I clicked on day 3 and I was like, okay, yay, I get to read about everybody's stuff. I was so disappointed. I was like, okay, 28 people have seen it, and I could see all the names of all 28 people. And then I'm like, only one person liked it. Thank you, Miss Vanessa Hollis, for liking it. Man, I really wanted to see what y'all had going on. So I didn't have time to go look at yesterday when I looked at the hashtag, I only saw Jamila with her crown. Maybe that's why I dreamt of this amazing dream last night. I didn't see anything else. So y'all don't forget to use your hashtag Shine Crew, and please make sure you take your whatever you post, your picture, whatever, post it on the thread, because you know how beautiful it's going to be for us to look back over the 30 days and say, wow, look at what we did, and any takeaways. That's another thing that the description says. Any takeaways? We want to see what you found to be interesting, right? So, hey, Jan, how are you, Jan? So happy that you are here. You and Mom probably have a whole closet full of frames. Yeah. I think there's one that we actually share, like not share, but we actually have the same or similar one. Franny, I think that slide with all the kids, or Franny outside with all the kids running around in the backyard. Oh, we got work to do. Oh. How are you, Jan? Welcome. Miss Vita said about the same. Okay, existing on ice chips. Well, let me tell you, that is a gourmet meal, honey, because there is nothing as good as some hospital ice chips. Okay. So consider yourself blessed. I'm just teasing. Well, we're going to keep praying for you. Miss Lardine said, I did it with Crown Cupcake and my message. Where was it? I didn't see it. Oh my gosh. Okay, make sure you drop something on the page. Make sure you drop something on the private group, Shine with Andrea, hashtag Shine Crew, right? That's the name of the group page, or the group, so that everybody can see it. And I hope you use the hashtag as well, which I'm sure you did. You usually do. Thank you, Jan. Thank you. You know what's so funny? My glasses are hot pink. My lipstick is red. But doesn't it look pink? Thank you so much, honey. I appreciate it. Oh, you made your post this morning, Miss Audrey? Okay. Oh, I got you, Franny. I got you. There's a delay, and then I didn't read them right away. So I got you. Miss Anita says, I'm still looking for my crown because I'm going to have an amazing celebration of me. I love it. Good morning, Lisa Bell. Good morning. Jan said, I'll do mine this weekend. No problem. Miss Audrey said, I will take a picture later. Oh, no problem. Okay, y'all. All right. So first, I just want to say, thank you so much to Miss Audrey. She sent me a message early, I think it was yesterday morning, and she told me how much I meant to her. That in and of by itself, really blessed me. She told me I was very important to her. And I appreciate that, Miss Audrey. The other thing is, she said when she was reading chapter 4, she said, I popped into her head. And she said, I just wanted to send you some love and kindness because I know chapter 4 might be a little bit intense for you. She said, but just know, as Tabitha says, don't let your triggers attack you. God is in control. I hope you know I love you and your beautiful family. So I just want to say, Miss Audrey, that was just so awfully kind of you, but thoughtful. Thoughtful that you took the time to literally, I popped in your mind, you thought of me, you prayed for me, but then you took the time to message me. And I appreciate that very much. And for those of you who know, last year was a really, really tough year for my family. It's a really tough year for my family. It was a year of lots of unexpected things, and not things that I would ever welcome, not things that that anybody would ever want. It was a journey that I didn't want to take part in. But I have to say, looking back a year later, to God be all the glory. To God be all the glory. God brought us through. It was tough, but he brought us through. It was right around this time that, well, let me back up. In February, I remember sitting at my computer. I think it was probably one morning, like 6 a.m., getting ready to send out, or I was actually working on an email to send out. And I know you did. I know you did, Audrey. Thank you, honey. Thank you. Oh, thank you. Thank you. And I want you to know, Audrey, that there's somebody out there that looks at you the same way and says that they feel that you're their bestie. I want you to think about that. It's the same way I said yesterday that Tab's my bestie. She just don't know it. And you're saying to me that that you feel like we're besties. There's somebody out there that feels the same way about you. And I want you to remember that. Even if you have to write that down and say, somebody out there is looking at me thinking that I'm their bestie. You show up for them. You continue to show up for them. So I remember sitting here getting ready to working through this email. When I do emails, I hate to say it, but the paralegal side of me really shows up strong, and I read and reread and read and reread, and then I, revise and revise and revise and reread and revise and reread and revise. I mean, one email could take me hours. Like, I'm not even joking. Because I just want it. I don't know. I can't help myself. Okay. That's right, Jan. That's right. I am somebody's bestie. That's right. Y'all listen, we starting early, but yes, I am somebody's bestie. Y'all go ahead and type that in. I am somebody's bestie, because you are. Everything I just said to Audrey applies to each and every one of you. Even if you are watching in the replay, you are somebody's bestie. So I was sitting here, going through all the motions of writing this email. It was like 6 o'clock or 5 o'clock in the morning. It was probably about 5 o'clock in the morning. And y'all already know I'm not a morning person. And Gordon comes over, and he's, my mom had gone for some testing, and these tears are different. These tears are different. These tears are tears of joy. But also, I guess the trigger for me is the fact that I had to do something I never did before, that I never want to do again. And when Gordon came and sat down with me and told me, he said, I got a message. I spoke to mom's doctor. And he said, all of the tests that they did, the biopsies and, everything that they did, they said they found cancer in her breast. Now, by this time, mom didn't know. She didn't know. And I told Gordon, I said, do not tell her. I said, I want to tell her. I want to sit her down and I want to tell her, but I want to pray first and I want to be prepared first. So later on that day, we all came together, sat down as a family. We prayed. And I remember telling my mom, and it was the hardest thing to do, is to tell her, Mom, you have breast cancer. And it was right at that moment. To God be the glory. I'm so thankful that here we are a year later and she's healed and cancer free. Thank you, Jesus. She is healed and cancer free. But it was right in that moment that we decided as a family that we were going to walk through it with faith. We were going to walk through it with faith. We said that we were going to, no matter what the outcome was, we were going to choose joy, that we weren't going to go through this, upset or depressed or angry with God. We made the choice to walk through it with joy. We chose joy. We chose believing in her healing. We chose the victory before it happened. We chose to trust God. That was a choice we made. We literally sat down like on my bed. All of us sat down and we literally made a pact with each other that we were going to choose joy and that we were going to our every decision that we make, it would be Holy Spirit strategy. That we knew we could not do this without God. We knew that we could not walk that path without God. And we said and the other thing we said, so we chose joy, we chose to trust God, we chose that we were going to do this with Holy Spirit strategy. We were going to pray and ask God to give us the strategy that he wanted us to implement during this time. And the other thing that we did is we said we're not going to tell everybody. We're not going to post it out on social media. We said that we're going to take these first steps as a family, and we reached out to my pastor and just very few key people, so that we know that they would pray. And we were very careful to share with anybody that we knew their first thing would be negativity. I didn't want that. I was very careful in protecting my mother during that time and not allowing certain people to talk to her. Right? I didn't want certain people to talk to her because I wanted her to remain in good spirits. And let me tell you something. It was a hard road, especially for her. I mean, you think about this 80-year-old, well, at the time, 82-year-old woman who uses a walker. So her knees are not the strongest. And she had to, listen, I'm only 52 and it takes a lot out of me just to get ready to go anywhere. It takes a lot of energy, right? If you don't deal with that, God bless you. So I know how I feel. And then to put bad knees and a walker, bring that into the mix. Someone who is in their 80s and having to get up every day and leave the house. Like, it's a lot. It's a lot. And having to go to the hospital back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, and being poked and prodded and, doing the lumpectomy, not lumpectomy. She didn't have that. The thing where they did she had surgery and they went in and they took it out. They went in and they biopsy it, y'all know what I'm trying to say. They went and tested it first and then they went back. She had to have it removed and they were able to get it all. And I don't want to go into all the details, but it was a lot. It was a lot. And then the chemo, which was a lot. And then looking at her and seeing her hair falling out, it was a lot. And so if it was a lot for me, imagine how it was for her. But we chose joy. We chose joy. And I think that choosing joy makes the difference in how you handle things. When you make the choice that regardless of what you're going through, you might be going through something right now that you thought when you started that you were going to be okay. And you were excited and happy. And you felt like, I got this. I'm going to take on the world. I got this. Me and God, we got this. And now here you are into the thick of it. And you're looking around like, okay, this is not exactly what I thought. It's not exactly how I thought everything was going to go down. But here I am. Here I am. Here I am. Now what do I do? And so some of the things that so again, Audrey, thank you. Thank you. And I'm gonna be honest, when you said that, I didn't really know what you were talking about. So you prepared me for it because at that point I hadn't yet read it. I'm reading day by day. And so when you said that, I was like, I didn't know exactly what you were talking about, but I was like, trigger, what's going to trigger me? So it prepared me. It prepared me. So I thank you. I thank you. So day 4, and we're on day 4, page 31. It says, do something new, but check your triggers. And I love this quote she uses by Maya Angelou. You may not control all the events that happen to you, but you can decide not to be reduced by them. That's powerful. That's really powerful. So her new thing was she had a second, more intensive mammogram and ultrasound. Okay. And so, you read it. So, just all what she went through, how she felt, she explained it all. She was very open about the whole going for the biopsy and all of that. Right. And she said she'd be lying if she said that it didn't make her a little flustered and nervous. Like, we're human. Right. So when we walk into something, of course, we're going to have our feelings. We're going to have those feelings. And what I love is at the bottom of page 32, she said, I could have, in this moment, with this new news and doing this new thing of getting a compression mammogram and ultrasound on my breast, I could have lost my mind. So this is her second time around, right? This is not something that she was like, I'm going to do a new thing this morning. I'm going to go and no, she didn't say that. But this is something that she had to do. And they said to her, Miss Brown, we still see what appears to be a small mass in your right breast. It could be absolutely nothing, or it could be something. Because it's your first mammogram, we don't know how long it's been there. It's probably nothing, but we want to be sure. Right? So they said, we'll have to do a biopsy. So she's saying she could have lost her mind. Right? She could have lost her mind. She could have lost her mind. Right? She said, I could choose to get on the internet and start looking up a ton of different people's horror stories about what that mask could be and stress myself out. You know, one of the things I told my mother, I said, we are not going to become get our degrees with WebMD. We are not going to do that. We are not going to talk to other people and listen to their horror stories, because I kept telling my mother, their story is not your story. I kept saying it to her over and over. I said, their story is not your story. And I want y'all to put this into perspective. This happened in February. She had the first surgery in April. And it was in June. It was in June that I started these live videos, doing my devotions live. I just want to put things in perspective. Okay? And that whole year, she was going back and forth to the doctor. At least in the beginning, it was probably 3 to 4 times a week. It went down to about 2 to 3 times a week. Now we're down to about twice a week. We went down to twice a week. Now we're down to about anywhere between 1 to 2 times a week. So everything takes a hit. Meanwhile, our daughter is in college. Our 16-year-old daughter is in college. And we have to take her back and forth to school. Okay? Back and forth to school. And we have to try and work through all of her getting acclimated with college at 16. And understanding how much different college is to middle school. Because, you know, we've homeschooled all of high school. And this is a part of her homeschooling process, right? So just imagine all of as a mom, as a daughter, as a granddaughter, as a mom, as a grandmother, as a mother-in-law, as a son, as a husband, as a son-in-law. Just imagine the emotions alone before anything else, right? It was a lot. It's a lot. Sometimes people walk through things that you have no idea what they're going through. Give people grace before you say, oh, well, she didn't call me, or she didn't say anything to me, or she didn't do this, or, you know, give people grace, because you never know. And trust me, that's just what I'm telling you. That's just what I'm telling you. You never know what people are going through. So give them grace. A lot of times when people pull back, it's not because of you. The world does not revolve around you. It just doesn't. Sometimes when people pull back, it's because they're just trying to keep their head above water. They're just trying to make it to the next day. The next day. Wow, Jamel. Jamel said, I just heard your mother's healing was tied to your obedience. Wow. 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 So she goes on the bottom of page 32 to say, I could choose to get on the internet and start to look up a ton of different people's horror stories about what the mask could be and stress myself out. I could choose to start telling myself that it's something before I even knew if it was true. And I remember saying to my mom, we are going to take this one day at a time, one step at a time, one doctor's appointment at a time. We're not going to think about, oh, well, what if and what could, and oh, but you know, one of the things she said is my father died from prostate cancer. I said, that's not your story. That's not your story, mommy. And so we are going to speak life. And I was very careful to tell her and to make sure that we not only are we choosing joy, but we are going to choose life. We're going to make sure that the words that come out of our mouth is going to be life. not death. So she says, I'm choosing to say, okay, they found something. It could be nothing. It could be something, but I won't know until I get the biopsy. So there's no need for me to start stressing about it now. A lot of times we start to stress about stuff before we even know what's going to happen. We start to stress. And sometimes we got to go back and laugh at ourselves and say, man, I stressed for nothing. Right? So I love, this was triggering. This day was triggering, but at the same time, it gave me hope. It gave me hope. She says, even later, as she was preparing for the breast biopsy, she said she had to wrestle with her triggers, right? But she accepted this, that on this journey, for whatever reason, God has decided that he needs me to go through this. And she embraced the fact that it's always bigger than her. She embraced the fact that it's always bigger than her. She said one of the ways she was able to check her fear and her anxiety that kept trying to come up was to remind herself that it wasn't just about her. She said she was going to use this as an opportunity to bring awareness. She was going to use it as an opportunity to bring awareness about breast health to women just like her. And this line on the top of 34, y'all need to keep this close to your heart. Keep it in your mind, because this will save you a whole bunch of tears and a whole bunch of sleeping in the bed and on the couch and in the recliner and not wanting to get out of bed and not wanting to take a shower and, not wanting to socialize and not wanting to do this or do that or talk to this person or talk to that person. Worrying about it was never going to change anything. Right here. Worrying about it was never going to change anything. We tend to worry so much, and it's not going to change anything. And that was what I told Mom. I said, we are going to choose joy, and we are going to walk this trusting God until God says something different. We are going to trust for your healing. We're going to trust that God is going to take us through and that he was going to provide all of our needs. She says, so honey, don't allow yourself to start worrying about something that doesn't exist yet. Fear, as we know, is false evidence appearing real. Be patient with yourself. Be willing to wait. Believe in good things and trust that God is in control, because he always is. If we can remember that we were not called to be in control. God doesn't need us to do his job. Worrying changes nothing, Jan. Nothing. God doesn't need us to do his job, right? He just wants us to trust that he is in control. Be patient with yourself. Be willing to wait. Believe in good things and trust that God is in control, because he always is. If we could just learn to lean into that, just lean into it. So she goes on, kind of middle of the page. She says, the lesson God is giving me, and the one I want to share with you, is we must all check our triggers. We must all check our triggers. So this is what she says about triggers. Triggers will happen, honey, especially on this healing journey. It's common to think you have gotten to a certain place in your healing to say, oh, I'm good with this. And then be blindsided by a response in your mind or your body that you didn't expect. She said, that's a trigger. And the moment you find yourself saying, oh, wait a minute, I thought I was good with this, but I'm not, is the moment to check your trigger. Do it right then, because if you don't, it will become easier to slip back into your old thoughts or ways. So one of the things that I have had to continue to check myself with and to make sure, because like I told you, last year was a tough year. It was tough financially for us as well, because of course, if we are, our focus was mom. There were so many things that I missed last year. I was supposed to be on a trip to Aruba last year. I had my plane tickets and everything, but I couldn't go because that trip happened 2 weeks after my mom was 2 weeks before. A week before she was scheduled to have her surgery, and 2 weeks after finding out that she was going to have this surgery. It was in that month that I had actually started my lock journey. It was April 18th that I had started locking my hair. And so during this time, not being able to work my business the way that I normally would work my business, not stopping, not slowing down, just doing it differently, right? Doing it differently. And the different that I had to do, it wasn't as financially rewarding as I wanted it to be. And lots of other things slowed down too. So here I am now, last year and this year, experiencing financial hardships. Go figure. But God was providing every step of the way. He was providing. And he still is providing. And even though that vice grip is getting tighter and tighter and tighter, I chose joy. I chose to choose joy. Right? And so we have to check our triggers, because sometimes we will choose joy and we will say, okay, now I understand. I've gotten through this. I understand what God is saying. I need to totally trust him. Not just say I trust him. I need to totally trust him so that when this thing comes up, when something happens, I don't just break down. I don't just explode. I've got to check it so that my response to it will be different. I will be responding from a place of trusting God, not a place of doubting God. Somebody needed to hear that today. Somebody needed to hear that today. Because I remember when I first started feeling like my whole world was falling apart. I couldn't, some people could get up and they could work through it. And I've always been a workaholic. I would work 10 to 12 hours a day when I was a paralegal. I would stay at the office and get things done. Sometimes I even brought things home that I had to work on. Like, I've always been a hard worker. I've never been one to stop or not work or put it aside or just be lazy. Not me. Never in my life. I started working when I was 14 years old, as soon as I could get my working papers from the state of New York. I started working when I was 14. I started working in the law firm, one of the largest law firms in the world. One of the top 5 law firms in the world. I started working there when I was 16 years old. Delivering mail, being an internal messenger with those inter-office envelopes. Y'all remember the kind? Writing on the envelope, crossing it out, going to the next person. That's that. I've been working since I was 14 years old. So I'm never going to just not work. But can you imagine the amount of pressure and stress that you carry on your shoulders it is almost impossible for you to function. And then you think about the emotional side of it and the fact that this is your mother. Y'all, come on, right? So there were times that I would just break down, like, I can't take anymore. I never did it in front of my mother. It was always at night, 3, 4 o'clock in the morning with my husband. And he would pray over me. And I'd be good, and then something would happen and I would break down. And I remember the April before that, I had a time. I had a time. And this year, I said, no more. Not doing that anymore. I'm not going to be bouncing back and forth. No more. I said, I need to trust God with regardless what happens. And let me tell you, stuff that has been going on this year alone, just getting tighter and tighter and tighter and tighter and tighter and tighter. And I'm like, God, I can't. He said, yes, you can, because I am with you. I am with you. And so when you get to the point where you've lost it again, she says, sometimes it's not until the damage is done. Oh, wait, hold on. Maybe I didn't read this part. Triggers will happen, honey, especially on this healing journey. It's common to think that you have gotten to a certain place in your healing to say, oh, I'm good with this, and then be blindsided by a response in your mind or your body that you didn't expect. That's a trigger. And the moment you find yourself saying, oh, wait a minute, I thought I was good with this, but I'm not, is the moment to check your trigger. Do it right then. Because if you don't, it will become easier to slip back into those old thoughts or ways. Sometimes it's not until the damage is done and you find yourself thinking and acting out the way you used to that you get to the point where you actually realize you've been triggered in the first place. And so this is what you have to understand, that even if that's the case, even if you fail the test, don't start tearing yourself down and feeling bad about yourself. Yes, you reacted to the triggers instead of checking it, but you are human. And guess what? It happens. It happens. Okay? It happens. And so if you feel like, I did it, I did it, and then you fall back and something happens and you respond in a way that was like, dang, man, I really thought I was there. I really thought I got over this. Don't beat yourself up. I'm good for beating myself up. I don't need nobody to beat me up. Trust me, I do a very good job of it myself. Right? And so don't beat yourself up. Understand that you're human. And thank God that you know where you're supposed to be. Thank God you know the difference. Be grateful. This is what I say. Now what I do is when things happen, the first thing I do, I say, okay, let me first think of 3 things that I'm grateful for. And I force myself, because it's hard when you feeling the way you're feeling and like you see the bricks coming down and the house is caving in and you feel like, oh my gosh, like, can this get any worse? It's real easy to like just want to break down with it and just fall and let the debris just fall right on top of you. Like, just, you know what? I can't even, take me out, because I can't. It's easy to go back there. It's harder to stay the course. It's harder to choose joy. It's harder to trust God, not with just your mouth, but with your actions. Just type it in the chat for me. Let me know that you're there. Just type it in the chat and say, I'm going to trust God with my actions. I am going to trust God with my actions. Because it's so easy. We will talk all day long about, oh God, I trust you. Oh Lord, I trust you. Oh, I got faith in God. But what we don't talk about is when we are home at night, laid out flat on the floor, crying, sitting in puddles of tears, because our whole world is crushing down around us. But we were talking big talk, like, yeah, this is where I'm at, this is what I'm doing, and then here we are to having to fight through those feelings, fight through those emotions. I'm only saying this because I know I've been there. But we got to trust God with our actions. We got to trust God with our actions. Healing is not about beating ourselves up every time we respond to our triggers in a way that's not helpful. Healing is checking ourselves even when we mess up and doing what's necessary to move forward. Y'all heard that? When I first got the news about my mom, just like she said here, she said, I was forced to sit for a while with all those feelings that came up for me. I had to sit with it, because when I first heard it, I couldn't just run and tell my mom. At that point, we would all broken down. I had to sit with it. I had to come to grips with it so I could help her come to grips with it. So she said that she gave herself some time to sit with what was coming. Sometimes the parts of us that are scared just need to be heard. Sometimes you just got to talk to somebody about it, right? She says sitting with those feelings allows, sometimes parts of us that are just scared just need to be heard. Sitting with those feelings allows them to be heard, and then you can get to talking back to them. You can check them by saying, yes, I see you. I see you, Fair. Yes, I'm being affected by this thing that's happening. I acknowledge these feelings. Acknowledge your feelings. You're allowed to have feelings. You're allowed to have feelings. Acknowledge them. She said, but guess what, Tab? Girl, don't you go there. Can't you hear that in her voice? Don't allow yourself to go back down that old space just because of this one moment. Because of this one, I'm on the top of page 36 now. Because of this one small bit of information, you've done a lot of amazing healing. And she goes through what she's actually done. Remember how she celebrated herself for going to the Emmys, doing the work to get her there. Now she's celebrating herself, saying you've done a lot of amazing healing. You've gotten your checkups. You've done what you're supposed to do, right? These are only real facts you have right now. Don't allow this one moment to set you back. Yes, Jamila, she gives herself, her feelings, space. Not an opportunity to fester, but to be acknowledged. Don't allow that one moment to set you back. Don't allow that one moment, that one time that you tripped up, don't allow it to set you back. She said, and when she did that, she was finally overwhelmed with such peace. You see, if we could just get to the place, if we could just push past our quit, if we could just get past the icky stuff that we don't want to deal with, if we could just get back to that part where it's like, you know what? I didn't expect me to be in this space right now. I was going in a different direction, but it's like God just did a and here I am. Now I got to deal with this. Now I feel embarrassed to deal with this because I done told everybody that this is what was going down. Listen, you owe nobody an explanation. Walk confidently and unapologetically in your calling. The only person you owe anything to is the one who created you. You owe nobody. Anybody that wants to get down with you, they're going to get down with you because they love you. And they're going to see you. Not what you've been through. They're going to see you. They're going to see you. Okay, so she said, first she had to sit with that thing. Sitting with our triggers for a little helps us better to break them down. It helps us to understand ourselves. And there's nothing wrong with taking time with your triggers. In fact, she says it's a great way to continue to heal. But healing is a journey. It's not permanent. Healing is a journey. Okay? We can still have triggers, but when they rise up in us, we should try to talk ourselves off the ledge. Let's try that first. And this is why I always try with talking about something like walking through, just talking about what I'm grateful for. What am I grateful for? There's a lot of people that are no longer around to even experience triggers. You ever thought about that? There's a lot of people that are not even around to know what it feels like to get a bad diagnosis, to get fired from a job, to lose a home, to lose a car, to have nothing to eat because they're no longer here. Always remind yourself, one of the first things that you should always be grateful for, I'm still here. Remember yesterday? We celebrated ourselves because we are still here. We're here. That means God has more for us to do. And we still have time to get it right. As long as you stay in the game, there's always a chance for you to win. Can you imagine if when, the NBA or the MLB, the Major League Baseball, or the NFL, if they train for months at a time to get their body to get their body right so that they can perform and they can do what they have to do to win the game. Can you imagine if they go through all of that? And they're in the game and the clock is running and there's I don't know 10 seconds left on the clock. Anybody watch sports? 10 seconds could be 30 minutes. That thing can be drawn out. Now, if they stop and they say, you know what? I give up. 10 seconds left. I'm out of here. This is never going to change. It's all about your perspective. Are you choosing joy? Are you choosing that everything is going to work out for your good according to His glory, according to His plan? Do you believe in the plan that He has for your life? Are you going to check out? Are you going to just be a vegetable on the couch? Are you going to stay in a vegetative state on the bed? Do you know there are people that are in vegetative states that wish they could get up and walk around and try again? We got to be grateful for what we have and where we have, give space for our feelings so we can feel all the things, but then we got to push past our quit. And we got to make that choice and choose joy and say, God, it's me and you. It's me and you. It's me and you. It's me and you. She eventually received the amazing news from her doctors that it was all clear, that there was nothing to worry about. But you know what? She was happy about that. But you know what made her happier? Is how she handled it. She said, whereas the old Tab would have just been a wreck and given herself a death sentence, the new Tab, the healing Tab, sat with those feelings and checked herself and said, what she said, Jamila? No, ma'am, not today. No, ma'am, not today. Right? We have to give our space, our feeling space. Right, Jamel? Otherwise, we're going to drown in them because now we're stuffing them. We're stuffing them down to the point where we will drown in them. We've got to give our feelings space, but we can't pitch a tent and stay there. You can't pitch a tent and stay there. So, even as you are even as you are doing new things daily, and maybe those new things are bringing up some old stuff, some old ways, always be ready to check your triggers. Check those old versions of yourself that you want to react in old ways. You've been growing and healing. So even as these new things are stretching you, don't let your triggers set you back. Check it and keep on going. We have grown so much over the last almost 10 months. We've grown a lot. We've gone through 100 days of Believing Bigger 2 times. We've grown through a lot, a whole lot. We've grown through a lot. Be proud of it. Go back. If you have the book 100 Days of Believing Bigger, go back, flip through the pages where you highlighted stuff, where you wrote stuff. Look and see where you were the first time around, the second time around. Look at where you are now. That's why it was so important to celebrate yourself yesterday. And if you didn't, you still have time to. You still have time to. But don't get stuck. Right? Minister Barbara says that's the same thing that's taught in alcohol or substance abuse classes, is watch out for the triggers. Watch out for them. Don't let them debilitate you, though. Okay? So she has on her Tabitha service announcement page, she said, don't wait until things feel too far gone. Move on them now. Okay? She gives some ideas of what you can do to do a new thing. Okay, so you guys can read that and decide what it is that you want to do as your new thing. But I really want you to sit with yourself and just kind of look back where you came from, look where you are today, celebrate where you are today, and just remind yourself, stay in the game. Stay in the game. Until you really have something that is concrete to worry about, just keep giving it to God. It's hard. It's hard. And to keep waiting and say, okay, God, like today? All right, God, is today the day? All right, God, is today the day when things are going to change? Just keep believing and trusting him that no matter what the outcome, he's still in control, and you still are going to trust him with whatever he says. All right. So I look forward to hearing what you have to say in the group. I look forward to seeing what you got from this today, sharing whatever it is that you're going to do new. I look forward to hearing from you in the group. I look forward to reading your posts. Make sure that you use hashtag Shine Crew. Hashtag Shine Crew. This is good. Jamila says, if my son makes a mistake while playing baseball, I remind him to reset and stay in the game. I don't remember what it was, where I was, but on my keyboard, I put a button on my keyboard. I don't know if you can see what it says. It says reset. So I spent a lot of time sitting with this keyboard. Okay. I spent a lot of time here at my computer. And sometimes you need a reminder that you need to reset. Sometimes you need to rest too, right? But you need to hit the reset button. You need to hit the reset button. You need to hit the reset button. And it's okay. It's okay. Give yourself that space that you need to reset. All right? God bless you guys. Love you guys. I will see you tomorrow for day day 5. And I got a little surprise for you. Not a big one, just a little. But make sure you turn your notifications on. Make sure your notifications are on. Live notifications are on for this page. Go do that now before you do anything else. Go do that now. Okay? Make sure your live notifications are on for this page. Okay? All right. You're welcome. You're welcome. Love you guys. God bless you. And I'll see you tomorrow morning at 10 a.m.